Morning, everyone. Hope I'm audible. Right. So today we will see two important. Actually, it is a single concept. So we'll see that concept. We'll understand how it is, how it works, and why it is important to make use of this concept. And slowly we will get into practicals as well. Before that, let us create a new project. Let us call the project as explicit intents. Explicit intents. Or we'll give a fancy name. Let us say wishes app. All right. So I want to create this application so that I can wish my friends on their special occasions. Okay. The app name is wishes app. And in the folder name, you don't need to have a space. Leave the language to Java. Minimum required SDK, you can set it to API 23. Right. Everything looks fine for me. I can hit on finish so that the project will be created. Right. So let us now understand the actual concept. So we are going to talk about intents, guys. If you search for intents in Android, you get to see a developer documentation, right? You get to see a documentation. Okay. Taking some time for loading the content. Yeah, the content is loaded. You could see that intents can be used for multiple purposes. And basically, intents are just messaging objects that you can request an action from another app component or from another app itself. So we'll discuss more about it. So there are two types of intents, implicit and explicit. For implicit intent and explicit intent, we will see more useful documentation in a short time. Okay. So basically, how do I want to build my application and how intents can be used to build that application? We'll understand it. Right. So the application that I want to build in this case is this. I'll have I'll have an activity where the user will be giving his friend's name. Okay. So this is just for fun, guys. Don't take this seriously. I'm trying to explain the concept. So here the user will be given some name. Okay. Some name we will be writing. And after that, we will have a button which says greet. So the button says greet. Sorry. Okay, you have got an activity in which there is an edit text box that reads the user's input, and you will also have a button. Okay, you'll also have a button that says greet. Hey, come on, what happened? Okay, this button says greet. Uh, okay, now there is an activity, and in the activity, again, edit text box is there, and there is a button, and this button says greet. Okay, once this button is pressed in the same application, I want to take the user to the very next screen where I will be displaying an image that says happy birthday, or I don't have to display an image also. And then whatever the name that is given here, I'll display that name. Let us say RAM. Okay, so I'll have RAM displayed. It's a very simple application, but we will be using two activities. This is activity one. This is activity two. So what is my approach? I mean, how do I move from one activity to another activity? So to move from one activity to another activity in the same application, this is all happening in the same app. Okay. So in order to do this, we need intents concept. So intents are normally, they're just messaging objects. They are not something that can do some task on their own. What intents does is they will pass the information to the Android operating system, to the OS, Android OS. Whenever an intent object is spent, it is sent to Android operating system. Now, Android operating system will process this request and perform an action. Okay. And this action may trigger another activity in the same application or some other activity in a different application. Okay. That is how intents are categorized as explicit and implicit. Before we go about discussing implicit and explicit intents, I'd like to give you further information on how intents can be used. So intents can be used for basically three reasons: to start activities, to start services. We haven't discussed about services, so don't worry. And to start or to send broadcasts. Okay, it is not start. It is a send broadcast. So these three are the methods that we have for intents, and we use them to process a few requests based on their type. Now we require this one because we want to open the next activity in the same application as it is shown here in the diagram. Now we will talk about the intents types. So intents are basically of two types: explicit intents and implicit intents. Okay. I'll give you one example for explicit intents. The explicit intents is the application that we have seen right now. We have seen something right now, correct? So we are moving from activity 1 to activity 2 with the help of an intent, right? This is here, explicit intent must be used. So what about implicit intents? I'll give you another example for implicit intents. Have you ever got a URL from one of your friends on WhatsApp? And that URL, if you click on it, it is taking you to a different website, such as YouTube, Facebook, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, etc. Have you ever got such kind of a message from your friends? If yes, please raise your hands. Great. Akanksha got it. Cool. Sarfraz Khan, Sweta Krishnan, Rathod, Bhanu Pratap, Altaf. Okay. So these links which are taking you to a different application, they are called implicit intents. Okay. So for example, let us say you want to make a call to your friend and you want to enable that feature of opening the dialer in your application. You use implicit intents. Let us say you want to open maps and show the user his destination. You will use implicit intents and make use of the system's capability of showing a map to the user. So when you use system apps to perform your task, when you use system apps to perform your task, we call that request as implicit intents. And when you use the same app to perform or to process your request, we call that kind of request as explicit intents. Very simple to understand. So the reason why in the same application, if you are moving from one activity to another activity, why is it called as an explicit intent? Because this is a third party application. You are installing it on the device all by yourself. Correct? It is not coming in by default. This is a user app. So this is external to the system. Understood? This is external to the system. That is the reason it is called as explicit intents. If this is not the case, let's say as soon as the button is clicked, you are opening Google Chrome. Let us say you are opening phone dialer. Let us say you are opening maps. Okay. Let's say you are opening camera. Let us say you are creating an alarm clock. Let us say you are adding a calendar event. All these requests are implicit requests. Why are they implicit? Because this application, though it is a user application, it is trying to use the system capabilities. Got it? I hope you got it. So using intents is quite easy. Thanks, Akansha, for responding. Using intents is quite easy. We'll understand how to make use of it. First, let's concentrate on the design. First of all, I need to change a few things here. The compile SDK has to be changed. I'll make it to automatically take it as 33 from the next project. Don't worry. Because this is not a huge task also, by the way. So let us design the UI first. As soon as I launch my application, okay, we know that we are pretty much aware how to use linear layout, right? Type LL in the place of constraint layout, take linear layout. You can also set the orientation of this linear layout. Orientation vertical. Great. You don't have, you don't need to use this text view anymore. You can remove it. Interesting. So I want to have an edit text box. So why do I need to have an edit text box? Edit text boxes are usually used to take some input from the user. Take some input from the user. That is the reason edit text boxes are normally used. Okay. So for these edit text boxes, we will not provide text attribute. Let us say if text is like Pavan. Okay. So Pavan is already typed on the edit text box. So do you think that it is needed? Absolutely not. That is why for 1 second. That is the reason we will not give text on the edit text box, because if you run it on this device, all right, my device is recognized. Right. If you run this application right away, what happens is I will need to remove this text. Right. Right. Let's run it now. Great. Now the app is running. Now you have default text. You have to remove it before you enter another name. Right. That is why we don't give text on the text box by default, to facilitate the users to give whatever the text that they require. We don't write text attribute for edit text. Instead, we give hint so that the users can understand what to do on this edit text box. Enter your name or enter your friend's name. Okay. Now, if you run the application, you get to directly input the text without removing enter your friend's name text, because this is a placeholder. If you are aware of web development, these are called placeholders, and in Android we call them hints. Okay. Here I can directly enter my name without removing any text box, without removing the hint that is displayed on the text box. Now, every text box must have an ID. Let us call this as friends underscore name. That is the ID I'm giving for edit text. Also, edit text box can have an input type. You can set the input type from among all these options. You can only read numbers. If you put number here, let us say you put number here. As of now, when you tap on this edit text box, you are getting a full keyboard, isn't it? But if you change the input type and tap on your edit text box, you will only get the number keypad, right? So that way you can manage your input type. But I am writing it as text the person name, because I want to enter a person's name. So the input type can be text person name. So these are the important attributes for an edit text box. There are still a few errors thrown. That is because hint is a string, the string you are using, and this is a string. When strings are used, we are supposed to keep all those strings in strings.xml and refer to strings.xml via IDs. We will discuss about it later. We will see how to do this easily later. But for now, we can leave it as it is. Also, after the edit text box, we need a button that matches the parent's width, wraps the contents height, closes the button here. Now we can provide text on this button. I would say greet. Also, for this button, I will give an on-click event handler. So on click, you open greet friend. So there should be a method by the name greet friend, right? So how do we create a method on main activity? You do alt enter. You go to create friend on main activity. This is one way of doing it. Otherwise, you can also give an ID on this button. We will call it greet, greet underscore BTN. And we will connect this greet underscore BTN on main activity and then we'll perform the task. That is one way. The other way is to have an on-click event handler directly on a button, which should have a method on main activity. Okay, I will show you this one because we have already seen how to use IDs, how to get the buttons into action in the previous app, if you remember. Now what we do is we'll have an on-click event handler. Greet friend is the method I want to invoke as soon as this button is clicked. So when the user taps on this button, the user is directly invoking greet friend method on main activity. But on main activity.java, do we have greet friend method? Do we have greet friend method on main activity? Yes, it is a no. Thanks, Akansha, for responding. We do not have greet friend method on main activity. So how do we create one? You can do alt enter. As soon as you do alt enter, you get create greet friend in main activity suggestion. Correct. Otherwise, if you do not remember shortcuts, you can you can put your cursor inside on click attributes value, right click here, go to clicking on show context actions. If you click on show context actions, you get a suggestion, create greet friend in main activity. You can hit on it and then if a method will be created for you as it is, whatever the name that you give, the same name will be given and in the main activity it will be created. Now you may have a doubt. Why is that the method is created on main activity? Why not on a different Java file? Because with the help of set content view, your activity underscore main.xml and main activity.java, they are married together with the help of set content view. If you remove this, it means that they are divorced. They are a part of each other. Now here you can write the logic to happen or logic to execute once the greet button is clicked or pressed or touched. Okay. So what is the to do? To do is to open another activity in the same app and send the data. So which data we will send? Whatever the name that is input here, that particular data, we will send it to the next screen. Yes, that's right, Akansha. We don't need to give an ID for the button, create an object, add it. All this is avoided. For edit text box, it is needed still because edit text box has an ID and you can only get data from the edit text box with the help of IDs. So for edit text box, it is needed. But for button, we are avoiding it already. Good observation. Thank you. All right. So I want to display some data to my friend on a different activity. Whenever you create an application, as whenever you create an application, you will only have one default activity. How do I know that? In the manifest file, if you see, there is only one activity here. Inside the application, there is only one activity. And for this activity, an intent filter and metadata is written because this is the launcher activity. What is meant by a launcher activity? When you tap on the icon, whichever the activity that first appears to you, it is called launcher activity. Okay. So when I tap on the icon of this application, I will get this activity displayed. That is why this is marked as the launcher activity. In general, when you create an application, you will only create one activity, and that too it is a launcher activity because there is no other option. So if you want to create another activity, what do we do? If you want to create another activity, what do we do? Simple. You can right click on the application. Follow this carefully. You can right click on this application, go to new, and in the options, you can choose activity. And as soon as you choose activity, you get a list of options. You get to choose empty activity. Very simple. Right click on the app, go to new, choose activity, and hit on empty activity. That gives you a pop-up window. Here, you can give your activity name. I would like to say greet activity. As I changed the activity name, the layout name is also getting changed. Did you observe that? If not, while you're doing this, you please observe. I'm giving G capital letter, A capital letter because activity name must be following the guidelines. So greet activity is the name that I'm giving for my activity. Simple. Now I'll hit on finish so that the another activity will be created for me. See, another activity is created and the related XML file is r.layout.activity underscore greet, which is this. So the default layout is constraint layout. Yeah, constraint layout is way much comfortable than linear layout, but let us not talk about it right now. We will have a separate session on constraint layout. Do not worry about it. So we have linear layout. Let us also take it as orientation as vertical. Also, this ending tag must also be changed. Otherwise, you will have this error till the end of the picture. So you can type LL, select linear layout. Now, what do I want to do? I want to display a text view. I'll say width is match parent, height is also match parent. Let us suppose. And in this text view, I want to display tools.text. I will write, I will write happy birthday. Okay, I would like to bring it to the center of the screen by setting gravity to the center. Now I'll increase the text size. Text size, let us go with 40 SP. That is cool. Also, font family I want to change. So the simple way of changing the font family is to select the text view, which is here. And in the options, you got font family. You can click on the drop down. You can choose any font of your interest. I'd like to choose this regular. No, this one is regular. Okay. Yeah, add it. No problem. So you need to select it actually. Right. So now your style is changed. Right. Happy birthday. Okay. And for this happy birthday, we will make things to bold, even more bold. That's okay. We'll change the color to red. Okay. Red is not so good. Let us choose it to blue, dark blue. My favorite color is dark blue actually. What is your favorite color? Right. This looks more attracting. Now, what do I want to do? I want to give this text view an ID. Why do I want to give it? Because I want to append new text after happy birthday. I want to show my friend's name. So what do I do? I'll write greet underscore TV. This is the ID I'm giving. Okay, cool. This is what we have. Now, by default, even if you run this application at this moment, you will only be getting this screen. You will not get this screen because in the manifest file, if you see, there is another activity added. There is another activity added just like this, but it is not having this intent filter. Okay. So the launcher activity is always main activity. So if you change this, now you may ask me, if you change this intent filter and put it inside this greet activity, what will happen? You have to make this export it to true also. If you run the application, the first activity that gets displayed is greet activity only, because wherever the intent filter is there with action as main and category as launcher, that one only you will get it. But here, unfortunately, you are not able to see the text view. Why? Because while writing the text on this text view, we used tools colon text view. See, tools colon text is used. If you use Android colon text and if you run the application right now, you will have happy birthday displayed. So you have got happy birthday displayed. However, if you use tools here, this is safe. This is safe. Why? Because if you want to make your design appropriately and you don't want your users to see it, okay, you can use tools colon text. If you want to allow your users to see this text view or see the text on the text view, you can use Android colon text. Now, what is the difference between Android and tools? You may ask me. Android is coming from a different namespace and tools are coming from a different namespace. They have their individual purposes. Hope you're following me. Right. So let us change it back. Let us change the intent filter tag back to main activity. Now, if you run the application, the first activity that gets displayed will not be wishes activity. Instead, it will be main activity. Okay. Now let's perform the main logic. So as soon as the button is pressed, I want to get the data from edit text box. So I'd like to call it M edit text box. So let us connect this M edit text box to the actual view on the screen using find view by ID. So for that, I will write FVB that gives me find view by ID. And for this, I can pass the exact ID, which is r.id. What do we call it? Name or what? Friend's name. Correct? Is it the same ID that we gave? Yes, friend's name is the ID that we gave for edit text box. Now come back. Now, when you want to greet your friend, the first step is step one, get the data. Step one, get your friend's name. So how do I get my friend's name? I will get it in a string format. So string name is equal to simply m edit text box dot get text dot to string. See, whenever you receive a value from an edit text box, you would always receive it in the form of a text, in the form of a string. So you'll have the appropriate data, whichever is entered by the user in the name. Once it is done, now what is the step two? Step two is to create an explicit intent. to create an explicit intent. So how do I create an explicit intent? Simply, you need to create an intent object. Intent I is equal to new intent. We are done. For explicit intent, in the intent constructor, you give the source and the destination. I want to start from this file and I want to reach to greet activity.class. Now simply what will you do? What is the step 3? Step 3, open or send the intent request. So how do I send the intent request? As you want to start an activity, which is greet activity, you simply have to write start activity and pass this intent object I. That's it. You are done. Let's run the application. But you're half done, by the way. Sorry. You're not fully done. Because if you click on greet, okay, let us say I'm entering my name, Pavan. And if I hit on greet, what happens is I will be able to go to the next activity, but I will only see happy birthday, but not the data because I'm not sending the data along with this intent object. Okay, so I will not confuse you. If you understood till here, I'm happy. Otherwise, if you want me to repeat, even in that case, I'm happy because you're following. So how many of you understood till here? Please raise your hands. This is important for me. I want to understand how many of you are actually following. Yeah, Akansha is following. Thank you, Akansha. Thank you, Altaf. Only 2 people are following. Thank you, Sweta. Sweta Krishnan. Thank you, Bhanu Pratap. All right. Cool. I'll take your silence as an S, right? Because I don't have another option. Okay. So we understood how to move from the source, which is this file, to greetActivity.class. Okay. Using an intent object. So how do I send data as well? How do I send data as well? Simply, if you want to send data, you just have to put extra with a key. So the data is what? The data is name, because name is what I want to send. And the key would be key or anything else. But you should remember the key. Okay. So if I do simply this, what happens is the name will be added to intent object as an extra, and it will be going to greet activity.java. So what is the logic that I have to write on greet activity.java? What is the logic? So the logic would be like getting the data from intent and displaying the data on the text view. Simple thing. On greet activity, we'll only do 2 to-dos. Step 1 is get the data from the intent object. Step 2 is to display the data on the text view. Very simple. So in order to display the data on the text view, first the text view must be connected, isn't it? So we create an object. Greet. Now this greet has to be connected, isn't it? Greet equals to, you type FVB, you get find view by ID and give the exact greet underscore TV as the ID and check if greet underscore TV is the exact ID. Yes, it is. Now, how do we get the intent object? So whatever the intent that is responsible of raising this greet activity file, you can get that intent with the simple help of intent I equals to get intent. So get intent method would help you to do that. Now you need to extract the string resource. So string name equals to I dot. We have a method called get string extra, and for this you need to pass the key which is given on main activity. Let us say on main activity, if you are giving a different key, let us suppose you are giving your own name as the key. The same thing can be used. The same thing should be used here as well to extract the content. Once the content arrives, it is easy to display on the text view. So greet dot append of. Why am I using append? Why not set text? Because you can also use set text method. That is absolutely fine. Set text. Now you should write happy birthday backslash n. You append your friend's name, which is name. Now you run the application and observe the difference. It's okay. Mm, I'm entering my name. And if I hit on greet, I get happy birthday power. Interesting, right? So how can we further enhance this project? Further enhancements, how can we do it? Any ideas on that? How do we further enhance this? We can have a nice colorful background at the back that has a few balloons, a few cakes, pictures of cakes, etc. Isn't it? All right. So how many of you understood till here? Did you understand till here? Any doubts on this? Anything you want me to repeat? Please let me know. Okay. So silence, I take it as an S. We don't have a doubt. Okay. Thank you. So moving on, uh, how do I further enhance this project? Thanks, Akansha, for saying You can actually have a background image. So for background image, you can go to images.google.com. You can simply type birthday backgrounds. Okay. You have this one. This is nice. We want it in portrait. Okay. Where a happy birthday is not displayed. So, okay. Uh, balloons, decoration, portrait mode. Oh, cool. Come on. This is bad. Okay. Balloons, background. I think you can use this. This is nice, right? Yeah. This is having this thing. So that's 15. This is AVIF file which I don't like. No, too much of color. This is good. Save image. What do we call it? Balloon save. You can actually open the folder, copy this, and you know where all the images gets pasted. They are pasted inside the resources folders drawable folder. So you paste your resource also inside the drawable folder. Hit OK. Balloons.jpg. Right. Okay. Now I want to have it as a background image. So I choose background attribute. And also I will like to choose drawable slash balloons. Nice. Now you run the application and find the difference. Krishna. You get happy birthday Krishna. But the background color is actually dominating. Correct? Background is actually dominating. So if that is the case, you can change the text color to white. Kumar. Happy birthday Kumar. Right. So if you choose an appropriate background, this will be a very nice output that you get. All right. So it is left to your creativity about how you will improvise this project and do more. All right. I'm pushing these changes to GitHub and you'll find this project on GitHub so that you can work around this project. Tomorrow, we will discuss about implicit intents. I'm pushing this project to GitHub. I'm pulling the changes that have happened on GitHub. No changes. I'm adding all these files. I'm making a commit. Wishes app complete. Push origin master. That sends all these files to GitHub. That's it. You're done. All right. I'm sharing the GitHub link once again because you might have missed it. There are people missing out on sessions. I understand that by seeing the count every single day. However, I don't want any one of you to miss out on this concept. These are basics and important. Basics and not important concepts you can miss out. That's okay. Understandable. Yes. Yes, Anil, I'm sharing it with everyone here. I have shared the link. Please access it and bookmark it. Whatever the changes that I do on this project, all those changes would get reflected here. All right. Cool. Thank you so much, guys, for your patience and understanding. If there are more questions, keep them in your mind or write them somewhere so that you can shoot them at me tomorrow. We'll meet tomorrow at sharp 7 o'clock without fail. I know you're still getting a message saying that the class will begin at 7:15. No, it is a wrong information. The class absolutely begins at 7 o'clock. I don't want any one of you to miss out on the session. Thank you so much, guys. You have been such a nice audience. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.